Sure. Let me speak from 8.1.
Thank you.
Kim tad brahma, kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottama, adhibhutam cha kim proktam, adhidaivam kim uchyate. So, this question comes to Arjuna because Krishna concluded the 7th chapter that sa adhibhuta adhidaivam mam, sa adhibhuta adhidaivam mam, sa adhyatmam cha ye viduhu, prayana kale api cha mam te viduhu yukta chetasaha. Jaramarana mokshaya mam ashritte yadanti ye te brahma tad viduh krishnam adhyatmam karma cha akilam. So, Krishna is saying towards the end of the 7th chapter, one who knows me as Adhibhuta or the and the Adhidaiva and the Adhyatma, cha ye viduhu, one who knows me like that, prayana kale api chamam, at the end of death, at the end of one's life, at the exact event of death, prayana kale api chamam te viduhu yukta chetasaha. So he is intimately connected with me. That's how Krishna ends the 7th chapter. Now the question by Arjuna is then, okay, if this is what is Adhyatma, Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, then okay, what is it then? So you are saying you have to know me like this. And what is that? Right? So that's the question by Arjuna. So what we can learn from this verse 8.1 is that Arjuna is not normalizing ignorance. Okay? He's not thinking to be spiritual life means to not go into the details of what is there, what exists. Because spiritual life itself is attention to detail. So the more we become conscious, the more I become aware of the spiritual position. Sattva-guna itself, right, to even go to the spiritual platform. Even in the mode of goodness, one becomes attentive to the detail. Like for an Ashtanga yogi, he's attentive to the detail of how he's breathing, attentive to the detail of which thought is crossing his mind. In this way, there is attention to detail, okay, within oneself. Of course, in the material conception of life, there is attention to detail in terms of what one wants from sense gratification. So I'm very attentive to what type of idli it must be and so on, how the puri is fried or not, this restaurant, or my wife is not very beautiful, my husband is not like this, my husband doesn't have this nose, my wife doesn't have this hair, whatever it is, right? My children are not like this, and my vacation spot was not like this, my hotel room is not like this, whatever. So there are so many details. We are very attentive in this material world for achieving sense gratification. But when one becomes actually knowledgeable, one becomes very neglectful of all the specifics of this material world. Krishna himself says, so Shrota, what is that? Shrotavyasya Shrutasya cha Yankena Vitayan. Yada te mohakanidam vidhi vritarishti tata gantasi nirvedam. Tata gantasi nirvedam. You are not so attentive, you're not so curious about the details. So imagine we hear something in a class, but somehow in the name of bhakti, it is also possible to feel that this detail is not necessary. Okay? But if Parikshit Maharaj thought like that, we wouldn't have had the Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, if Arjuna had thought like that, we wouldn't have had the 8th chapter. Okay? We have the 8th chapter right now because Arjuna was very attentive to the detail. He was attentive to everything Krishna was saying. Arjuna was not forgetting, 2-3 shlokas that Krishna was saying, and then, Krishna just passes. No, not like that. Every detail. So exactly what Krishna said towards the end of 7th chapter, and Arjuna stops him immediately. Arjuna raises his hand and says, like, you know what? I mean, you're saying you have to know me like this. But what is that? What is Adhibhutam? What is Adhidaiva? What is Adhyatma? How do I know you like that? You are saying if you know me like this at the time of death, then prayana kale api chamam, then you are very good, fine. But kim tat Brahma? So what is this Brahman? What is the nature of Brahman? What is the lakshanam of Brahman? That you have not mentioned. Because you have mentioned Brahman, Brahmarpadam, Brahma, Vili, Brahmaiva. You have mentioned this in the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter. Brahma Aksharam Samudbhavam Tasmata Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajnaya Pratishtitam. You have mentioned the name Brahma so many times. But Kim Tat Brahma, Kim Adhyatma? What is Adhyatma? What is the nature of Adhyatma? So we have to know the lakshanam of something. This is called science. You have to know the lakshanam. How do you know you have gotten there? So it is very natural to think spiritual life is a sea of abstraction, is a field of abstraction. But no, there are very specific natures by which you can know something as something. This is how you know the nature of mind in the mode of goodness. This is how you know the nature of the mind in the mode of passion. This is the nature of the body, which has got a predominant component of kapha, vata, pitta. There is a nature of everything. This is the nature of this world, the nature of the speech in different modes, the nature of speech of different people, the nature of thought, the nature of intelligence, the nature of discrimination, the nature of doubt, the nature of forgetfulness, the nature of fear. So in this way, Srimad Bhagavatam expands on this nature, lakshana. What is the nature of dharma? This is what the Dharma Shastra. Chodana lakshano artho dharma. It is giving the nature of dharma. Chodana lakshano artha dharma. Chodana means what? It says you do this and you do not do this. This is dharma. This is one of the lakshana of dharma. Chodana lakshano artha. In this way, there is a lakshanam of what is adhyatma, what is adhyatma. There is something you cannot separate it from. That is when you know I am where I am. What am I? What is my nature right now? So you have to study yourself. And after studying oneself, how can one study oneself? One actually gets information from Shastra. And then based on that information, one studies oneself. And one sees, okay, this is what the Shastra says. And this is my nature of my mind. This is the nature of the body. This is the nature of the world. This is the nature of my relatives. This is the nature of my wife. This is the nature of my children. So you study this nature and you tally. And then you get convinced and you move forward in spiritual life. So Krishna, Arjuna is basically studying what is Brahman. He's asking this question. And what is the nature of the Supreme Person? What is He Purushottama? He knows already who Krishna is. He addresses Krishna as Purushottama because you are Krishna above all these entities. You are capable of answering me what is what. If you were within those entities, if you were within the jurisdiction of these entities, then you can't know what is what. I've given this example many times. Like if you are inside the house, you can't see what the house is painted as, is it not? So you can see the house only when you're outside of it. Similarly, we can understand the mind only when we are outside the mind. We can understand this world when we are situated outside the world. You can understand everything in this world when you're situated yourself outside of it. And when we are attached to the things of this world, when I want to enjoy this world, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is completely theoretical and merely just like a ritual for him. He can't enter into the secret of Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because he's attached to the things Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Atmakrita Jedasam Vyavasaya Apnika Buddhi Samadhuna Vidiyate. This buddhi is actually entrapped in the objects of this world. How can it study the world? How can it understand this world? How can it understand the nature of something which is above this world? Not possible. Not possible. Just like this nitrogen balloon is very lighter than air, so it goes above the air. Similarly, when our consciousness is attached to spiritual life, which is lighter, which is very subtle, then it can rise above all these things. But when our consciousness is absorbed in gross matter, just like you put a stone inside a pond, it just sinks to the bottom. Similarly, when our consciousness is absorbed in the gross objects, the gross enjoyments, the gross pleasures, the gross speech, the gross meditations of this world, then it will sink to the bottommost layer of this world, and it can never have the subtlety, it never have the finies to enter into the subtleties and then rise to the top of what is actually saram, what is actually of substance. So one must become attentive to what Shastra is saying. And this attentiveness comes. The attentiveness is a yogyata. Everything requires a yogyata. Our swadhyaya, that requires a yogyata. Ayogyan cannot read Shastra. Shastra will reject and he will have to go to other things, right? So, what is the yogyata to understand these things? Adhyatma, Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva. Because we are going to read about Adhibhuta. Adhibhuta is everything about this world. You see, everything in this world is Adhibhuta. And that person who's behind that is Adhidaiva. That person who's behind all is Adhyatma. Right now, now we are absorbed in Adhibhuta. You see, so. Uh, so we have to surrender to the mood of the spiritual master. We have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Success is assured for the rigid practitioner. Srila Prabhupada is saying. Success is assured for the rigid practitioner. Rigid practitioner means is attentive to the details the spiritual master is saying. He's not filtering the instruction down. No, he's very attentive to the details. If the spiritual master said, chant 16 rounds, chant 16 rounds. If the spiritual master said, chant 16 rounds like this, then you chant 16 rounds like this. And the spiritual master said, wake up at this time, I wake up at this time. So in this way, spiritual master said, do not eat anything that is not prasadam, then I eat that. So if I'm attentive to these details, then what happens is that the details of the spiritual world will come in front of me every moment. I'll see details that no other person sees in this world. You might be going in your car, it's very cold. While you're driving your car to your office, to Ford or GM, to Chrysler or wherever you work, you can see details that no one else is seeing. You can see the Adhibhuta, you can see the Adhidaiva, you can see the Adhyatma. Bhagavad Gita won't be a part of the 9 p.m. reading call. It will come live in front of you. It will expand. It will become Anubhavam for you. And that is possible only when we are ready. Yes, my spiritual master, I'm going to serve you. When we do that, then what happens? We become a patra. We become a receptacle to the details that Krishna has to offer us. And that's what makes life exciting. Life is to see the details that we have never seen before. Spiritual life is to not see new things. It is to see new details in the old things that we never saw. Okay? And the most detail of all the things is to see our dear Lord Krishna behind everything. Okay? I'll stop here. Any questions or comments are welcome. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.